Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're gearing up for this marijuana legalization bill to come through the House. So the MORE Act is yet to be put on the floor of the House, but I honestly expected it to happen today, which is kind of why I wanted to do the story today, but that's okay. It's not out today. It'll probably be out either tomorrow or the next day. And the House is going to vote on this bill, the Marijuana Legalization Act, otherwise known as the MORE Act, that was authored by Gerald Nadler, and it will pass the House for sure. But in the meantime, what's happening is there are a bunch of amendments that are being created to add to the bill. Some will and some will not be added to the bill. They have to go through a committee for them to decide if they want to add these to the bill or not. And there are quite a few of them. A lot of them having to do, interestingly enough, with driving impairment with weed. It seems like a lot of the representatives are worried about driving impairment and how being high while driving can screw up everything, and especially younger people, get them into more car accidents. There are a lot of these amendments that deal with education around driving impairment, higher repercussions around driving impairment, and also even one saying that immigrants can get deported if they are caught driving impaired, which is fascinating, and that certainly won't be a part of the actual bill. There are also some that are trying to make it so that people with criminal records beyond marijuana will not get their records expunged, including sexual offenders, including people who have dealt with fentanyl. That one seems to be something that I feel like a lot of people can get behind, so that probably might get added. One that I find really interesting that I think I agree with is permanently placing fentanyl analogs in Schedule 1, but also streamline the research process for all drugs in that category, including cannabis and psychedelics, by aligning requirements with those for less restricted Schedule 2. What this would mean is making research a lot more available for things that are in Schedule 1, which of course is important, psychedelics especially, that's becoming more and more lax, but still not quite where it needs to be. And making every fentanyl analog, making anything that is derived from fentanyl or synthetically made from fentanyl, make that a part of Schedule 1, which is very important because as of now, it's kind of all over the place. And when you create a new variant or a new version of fentanyl, I don't want to say variant because that sounds like COVID. When you create a new version of fentanyl, it's not yet a part of Schedule 1, so they have to do it kind of piecemeal. But making every analog part of Schedule 1, starting out with Schedule 1, and then you can kind of do research on it and figure out what the deal is here. That's, I think, a good step. So hopefully that gets part of the actual bill. So in the meantime, there's a bunch of these amendments. We'll see which ones get added. I hope tomorrow or the next day we'll see this bill actually get voted on in the freaking House. The next story is just kind of showing how far we've come with marijuana and charges against marijuana, which have dropped significantly. We all know this is happening, but to see it actually in numbers is pretty striking. For instance, in 2012, 10 years ago, the amount of charges against marijuana were 7,000. This slowly has been going down ever since 2016. It was 3,500, and now it's down to under 1,000. So I don't quite want to do the math on that, but that's a huge amount of hours now given back to law enforcement to do other things that they don't have to worry about now. All this marijuana enforcement that has been getting in the way for so long. So that's a good thing. That's overall a very good thing. This is national figures, by the way. We're still seeing very high numbers when it comes to drug offenders. So one statistic given by Normal recently was that 31% of all federal offenders in 2021 were charged with drug violations. So 31% of every single arrest out there has been a drug violation, which is still very, very, very high. My concern is that a lot of that has to do with psychedelics. It seems that under half of all of these people who were charged were dealing with methamphetamines. So there are other things. Of course, there's heroin, there's opioids, which is probably the biggest version of what this is. But then also, I would assume another large portion of this is psychedelics, which is rather unfortunate. But the bigger, more optimistic news out of this whole thing is that charges against marijuana has gone way, way, way down over the past decade. And that's it for today. Those are the stories. We'll be back as soon as the House starts to vote on this marijuana bill. Hopefully soon.